Kagiso Trust recently held a Twitter Space conversation, a third of the series, which unpacks citizenry and aging infrastructure with a focus on public infrastructure. What are our roles and responsibilities, and what do we do when things go wrong as citizens? The event is driven by Kagiso Trust inclusion in local governance, agricultural, and socio-economic development challenges. The opening address was by Chairperson of Kagiso Trust, Mankone Ntsaba.
Kagiso Trust in the last 5 years has actually expanded its strategy to participate in issues of local governance, in issues of agriculture and socio-economic development. And it was during this time that we noticed some gaps and challenges in local government and local governance, that we established a program that actually looks at what are the needs in local government that actually support local governance. And one of those, we found out that it is actually public participation, citizens' participation, because there are all sorts of elements in local government. You find issues of revenue collection, issues of infrastructure development, and all other services that are provided by municipalities. But underlying all these services, the success really lies in the participation of citizens. As you were talking, Kaya, you talked a lot about infrastructure that is dilapidating, that is going derelict, and that is problematic. But it reaches this space because, in the first place, citizens were never involved in the planning, if there has been any, in the budgeting, in everything that goes around infrastructure development. We only pick up pieces when the roads have become so dilapidated as we see them today, when there is no water, when sewerage is running into our homes, when municipal services are actually on the brink of collapse. Actually, in many municipalities, these services have already collapsed, not on the brink of collapse.
And then the conversation moved on to Dr. Sem Koma of the University of Limpopo, who unpacked the flaws of the democratic government.
Kaya, my sense is that the philosophy of development that was adopted by the democratic government in 1994 was flawed, because the democratic government said to the citizens that now that a democratic government has been installed, sit back and wait for the government to provide basic services to you. For example, provision of houses and also provision of water and sanitation. And this has basically led to this lack of sense of ownership of these public assets by ordinary members of the public, and also a lack of buy-in because they have not been party to the process of the shaping of these development plans, and also being part of the decision-making process, because most of these public infrastructure projects are decided in the boardroom. You have, of course, what they call public participation process, but we know that it's simply for ticking the box in terms of compliance. But the substance of this public participation process is not meaningful, because ordinary citizens are not given the necessary space to express what their demands are, and also to be afforded an opportunity to have a say in the final shaping of this development project. So that has been the missing part in terms of how government approaches planning. So citizens are not placed at the center of this planning process in terms of these projects, and also looking at the implementation of the projects. And that's the reason, to a large extent, you have ordinary citizens, if they embark on a protest, the first thing they target is a public infrastructure in the form of a library or the torching of a school, and also the destroying of or destruction of public facilities in the main. So we need to change the paradigm on the part of the government, but also bringing other programs like civic education in the communities, and also bring the issue of meaningful engagement with citizens by government institutions so that we are able to have a broader participation and also sense of ownership on the part of the community. So you have, for example, public infrastructure projects. You have the Guyana Water Project that was initiated in 2010 at an estimated taxpayers cost of 3 billion rand. It's almost 10 years. This project has not been completed because the project is meant to benefit about 55 villages with clean water. You also have unfinished housing projects in many parts of the country, but the money has been allocated, but these projects have not been completed. And that's the reason when communities embark on a protest, they also target some of these projects because they have a sense that money has been spent, but the project has not come to fruition in terms of benefiting the members of the community. And also, public infrastructure is key in driving the economy. And if you refer to the latest IMF report released recently, of course, it projects that our economy will grow by 2% if Transnet and Eskom are fixed. We have to fix Transnet because, as Dr. Mbete alluded to, you need reliable, effective railway system, logistics, to ensure that there's proper movement of these goods, your food supplies, your raw materials, and other basic goods as part of propelling the economy into higher economic growth rates. So those are the key issues that needs to be prioritized and also factored in terms of our public discourse.
Which was then followed by Dr. Sithembele Mbete from the University of Pretoria, who spoke further about some of the reasons behind citizens resorting to drastic measures in times of adversity with government.
Well, I think that our sense collectively of what it means to be citizens in a democracy, particularly strong. And, we don't have civic education at school level. There's no particular agency or any part of government that is singularly responsible for civic education. The IEC does have a mandate to promote civic education, but that's just about it. And so because of that, I think that our common understanding of what it means to be a citizen in a democracy and what the rights and the responsibilities of citizens are, and then also of governments and government officials, I think aren't as properly developed as they should be. And so that's, I think, a first thing. But the second thing is that officials, both politicians as well as civil servants at all levels of the state, have proven to be really unresponsive to citizens' grievances. And so people do try to, send petitions, to have meetings with their public representatives, to try and do things. If you look at the situation with the Rooiwal water treatment plant, for example, in Hammanskraal, that's an issue, and that's a crisis that is well over 15 years, nearly 20 years in the making. And people having raised concerns about this over years. And what we've had is a state and government officials that are just not responsive.
For Social TV, I am Noktula Kwela.